Good morning. This is Beaty-Coffey of the Ministry of Uncover No More. I had a beautiful day yesterday, and yet I can tell you, just a moment, please. And yet I can tell you that it was beautiful, but in a solitary way, because I have pain in my life with the circumstances of the past 15 years, which wrought this beauty. So does my entire family. And then I go on social media, my main or my secondary X accounts, and somebody can easily put a cartoon figure of Jesus, white Jesus, laughing, and have large amounts of followers and that they've followed, and they all of a sudden start showing up on my accounts. So I can appreciate them for a minute. It's a pop star Jesus, thinking they've got it all figured out and hating on metaphysical reality. While quietly, twice yesterday, I was privileged as an initiator of love to encourage two faithful older men who also encouraged me. One is a gentleman who is a regular, like I am, at a place, and we were pontificating pure gold in conversation as it concerns issues of import in the modern day, expressed through the eyes and the pens and the thought patterns of the greats, Rudolf Steiner, and now Ralph Waldo Emerson, who I've been led to by one poem written on the day my mother died, 5 days after my birthday in 2019, but some years before my dad's brother died, the one that helped him, that indeed built 2 houses on a property with my father. And when these accounts that are smart, a lot of times they're going to be shielded as atheists or agnostics. I'm speaking to you as an agnostic. I listened to another older gentleman named Frank Schaeffer, who is an atheist that believes in God and has a book written by that title. And the one thing he spends his life doing is beautiful things in his community and in his family as an author and an artist. One thing he does is fix spaghetti with his grandchildren. Community is the key. And I believe in community on social media every bit as much as I believe for it in real life, because we can succor one another in both places. Surrounded by these two beautiful men in the area where I fellowship a lot, along with my own hometown now, which is clearly listed on my main X in Texas. So let me go back to where I was yesterday, and fed but also encouraged, because I looked at my friend, my beautiful friend. I would say, as the spiritualist I am, another tribe Judah elect, a brother that is older than me this time. And we have gotten to know each other across a few years now in this place. And we were discussing the book Nature by Ralph Waldo Emerson and the import of information. And he was telling me that the motivational speakers, he is aware of a group of motivational speakers that use the precepts of Ralph Waldo Emerson. And I was so delighted. I cannot even begin to say. I was so delighted. And he said, I will pull my book down. And in it, he has a collection, just like I do, of works, essays, and lectures and whatnot. And he says, I think nature is in that. And so we're going to see if we can't share a paragraph here and there. He was the one yesterday that encouraged me, because I said, look, I'm having to change my whole mind after 50 years of Christianity. And as a girl, we're forced to keep the ideology of adultery against our own metaphysical side, because we're forced to commit idolatry towards husbands with the way the Bible is taught. Submission, the word submission is a wicked word at this point in history. And if you look up too much to Aristotle, you agree that women are faulty men. You need to be careful who you're looking at, who you're taking in from the past generations. There's the big duh. It is easy to pretend that you're of the spirit of the King of Kings and destroy your own soul in hell, literal hell on this earth. It's necessary to understand the people that are humble and loving in this society. Holistically. And I'm not saying that that's not somebody who understands that the King has returned another time, like he said he would in the gospel record of the King James Version Bible. I'm not saying that that person doesn't know that. I'm saying that the slant is the kind of slant that hurts more people than it helps. Go away, please. Those accounts need to go away everywhere on social media. It's much more complicated. It's much more complex than you think it is. And you're showing your ignorance about love. You're showing a selfishness that is rampant indeed. I looked at my older family member at another place and said, you do realize how important you are? And he's like, no, probably not. But he could agree with me that those of us who are here, regardless of all of this going on, like I'm telling you about, pulling down the books of those that can lead us metaphysically and dwelling there, being an example of dwelling in simplicity, though the world is this complicated, is what the young people need us to do. So today, I slept overnight with T.S. Eliot This is The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot. And one that I have read, and then I'm about to do artwork, but I have to finish something by T.S. Eliot. Stephen Vincent Benet's Western Star. I've also got some of his other poems in my iPad's books. And this bottom book is part of my Bible because T.S. Eliot saves me on a regular basis. I have to read him every whip stitch. I have to read him to keep my perspective straight after what I've been through as a Christian woman, having a large family. And I will be honest, the pain in my life is that I lost most of my relationships with my children. I lost almost all of them, actually. And that is a constant pain. It's not that we're not kind with each other, it's that there's no relationship. And it took that to testify what I needed to testify, because I had to pull away from my family so that they were not impacted by what storms I had to pass through to be where I am today. And sometimes you choose your prison to be paradise. Because I may have lost him in the short term, but I have not lost anyone in the long term with the King of Kings and my brother, who is a Judah Archangel Michael. I have not lost anyone, but that does not take care of it today, where we don't talk about what we're having for dinner and all sit down for dinner like all the good Christian couples do with their families. Non-Christians, it was much more complicated than that with my family. But we're free from Christian religion, and it's one of my daughters that reminded me, don't use that word submission around me. And I agreed, but kind of smiled, because it's a word. It's just a word. And I have done it, and it destroyed me. But I can tell you that there are men on the earth who do not hate me as Tara, who love me deeply, and I love them, and we are building something that lasts generations. But in the short term, I do want the souls on X, not the bots. I'm still having to block boob babes and etc. who follow you. It's part of the machine of political wickedness that they evidently can't put a stop to. I don't know. So this is Monday. I burnt the rest of some incense and my beautiful candle that I found. It's greenery. It's of, well, it looks like a fir tree or something, but it's just the green. There's no tree trunk to the candle, and it's a taper. And so I've got quite a bit of it to burn, and I like to, it's pretty. It's from the Christmas season. And a poem came out of me yesterday, so this is going to go with Longfellow today, because I'm going to read a poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. And I witnessed the time of 12:12 p.m.c., and it is this: my daughters are naked in winter. Their warming fire extinguishes. So moonlight speaks, nurture thyself in watches. My sons are exhausted Jack Frost. So moonbeams declare, succor thyself against lust. See, so the account that I'm telling you about is a reasonable account in that they can form sentences and spin tales that help them feel good about themselves with pictures of white Jesus laughing. Um, and I get it. I get it. They don't know how to succor themselves and have their own spiritual life, is why they're hating on their own metaphysical side and spreading that vitriol, because that is vitriol. I needed to let my cats in. They were roaming for a little while. Now they're here, maybe to settle down for a little nap after eating. They're kind of deciding what to do here. So I'm going to read. So make of this what you will. It's going on my poetic YouTube. Oh, wait a minute. I had the wrong author. This is not Henry. It's Robert Frost. Excuse me. It's Robert Frost who I'm dealing with. And I may as well announce I'm going to go ahead and be delving back into paganism. The book Paganism by Joyce and River Higginbotham. And I have some more long-standing large volumes like Lady Bird Johnson, Abraham Lincoln, and Nourishing Traditions by Sally Fallon. I will give spaces for those works as well. But right now I'm pretty intensely working with Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's poetry primarily, maybe a few of his other works as far as essays and whatnot, and Robert Frost, Rudolf Steiner, and a couple of others, and that's going to be a while. I've been through enough loss that building myself with my family on the other side of my life is going to be the only thing I do. I am at peace with the relationships left to me in this place. I'm at peace. They are at peace with me. But the demoralization still happened in this home, is what I'm telling you. And so Beaty-Coffey's, for all intents and purposes, dead. But not. I still do my chores. I have my kitties. I'm looking forward to some gardening work. I do not know why people do not have what it takes to reform relationships after the epiphanies that we had in this family. I do not know why. It is a source of great remorse for me that I cannot tap into, or it cuts off real reality. And we have myriads of Generation Z, particularly, that don't know what reality should be anymore. And that's what my family member at the other place and I, we'll pull out Ralph Waldo Emerson, and we will study the real truths. T.S. Eliot. I'll tell you another that I've gonna bring back to my social media is J.R.R. Tolkien. I'm finishing the Silmarillion because you don't produce tales like the Silmarillion and Lord of the Rings without having the core of the ancient ways of goodness. You don't do that. You don't choose to pull out T.S. Eliot and Ralph Waldo Emerson to reform your core if you aren't an ancient original who understands that society must be built upon truth that transcends time. T.S. Eliot is so highly intelligent on this score that there are no words for understanding it, and I am grateful that I have my kitties and my philosophers and poets to move on with my entire life story. But it is a solitary pagan more and more for reasons that I weep about constantly. There's no going back, and that is a good thing. The Trial by Existence by Robert Frost. Even the bravest that are slain shall not dissemble their surprise on waking to find valor reign, even as on earth in paradise. And where they sought without the sword wide fields of asphodel fore'er, to find that the utmost reward of daring should be still to dare. The light of heaven falls whole and white, and is not shattered into dyes. The light forever is morning light. The hills are verdured pasture-wise. The angel hosts with freshness go, and seek with laughter what to brave, and binding all is the hushed snow of the far distant breaking wave. And from a cliff top is proclaimed the gathering of the souls for birth, the trial by existence named, the obscuration upon earth, and the slant spirits trooping by in streams and cross and counter streams, can but give ear to that sweet cry for its suggestion of what dreams. And the more loitering are turned to view once more the sacrifice of those who for some good discerned will gladly give up paradise. And a white shimmering concourse rolls toward the throne to witness there the speeding of devoted souls, which God makes his especial care. And none are taken but who will, having first heard the life read out, that opens earthward good and ill, beyond the shadow of a doubt. And very beautifully God limns and tenderly life's little dream, but not extenuates or dims, setting the thing that is supreme. Nor is there wanting in this press some spirit to stand simply forth, heroic in its nakedness, against the uttermost of earth. The tale of earth's unhonored things sounds nobler there than neath the sun, and the mind whirls and the heart sings, and a shout greets the daring one. But always God speaks at the end, one thought and agony of strife. The bravest would have by for friend the memory that he chose the life. But the pure fate to which you go admits no memory of choice, or the woe were not earthly woe to which you give the assenting voice. And so the choice must be again, but the last choice is still the same, and the awe passes wonder then, and a hush falls for all acclaim. And God has taken a flower of gold and broken it, and used therefrom the mystic link to bind and hold spirit to matter till death come. 'Tis of the essence of life here, though we choose greatly still to lack the lasting memory at all clear that life has for us on the rack. Nothing but what we somehow chose. Thus are we wholly stripped of pride in the pain that has but one close, bearing it crushed and mystified. And the very next poem of Robert Frost is The Tuft of Flowers. And that is a true mystic. Inasmuch as I wrote only 2 little verses yesterday and saw my daughters in the trees that lose their leaves and my sons in the trees that don't. This is Beaty-Coffey of the Ministry of Uncovered No More.